In my past life, I was blind and saved him, but for the sake of his dead white moonlight, he trapped me in the back courtyard and tortured me for a full 20 years. Living again, back to the day we first met, listening to the scumbag hiding in the shadows calling for help. I let out a cold laugh, and leaning on my blind cane, walked away without looking back. Later, he brought his delicate white moonlight and barged into my home, begging for shelter. I immediately pulled out my abacus. Top Dan grade wound medicine, rent plus firewood fees, a total of 50 Dan 8 taels and 3 chien. On 7 days are up, get lost immediately. The scumbag flew into a rage and actually tried to threaten my entire family using his status as a court official. Little did he know, the man sitting beside me proposing marriage at that moment was none other than the living king of hell who was hunting him down throughout the city. Hello everyone, I am Vera. As the saying goes, let go of your savior complex and respect others' destinies. Today we'll watch how the blind young lady stands by with folded arms, letting the arrogant scumbag fall into disgrace and become a prisoner. Ready, long pressed to like, let's begin. Not killing you is already repaying the debt of you saving my life back then. Every moment spent with you, I felt utterly disgusted. In the cold and cramped back courtyard of the Jiang residence, the drafty wooden window banged loudly in the winter night. Jiang Zhuyan stood condescendingly before my bed, his voice as cold as an ice-quenched blade. I've been blind my whole life, and though I can't see his expression right now, I can clearly smell the cheap rouge and powder from his other concubines clinging to him. 20 years, he has kept me trapped in this sunless backyard, letting those simpering women trample all over me. I thought he was just cold and hearted by nature, but only at this moment before my death do I finally understand. He hates me. He hates me because when I saved him back then, I deliberately pointed the court's pursuing soldiers in the wrong direction, but that direction just happened to be where his beloved Luo Yan was hiding. Luo Yan refused to suffer humiliation and died in despair. He doesn't dare hate the soldiers who drove Luo Yan to death, so he has taken all that resentment and venom and turned it into 20 years of relentless mental torture, pouring it all onto me, his blind savior. I tug at the corners of my shriveled mouth, without even the strength left for a bitter smile. Violent coughing has exhausted my last breath, and as my consciousness sinks into endless darkness, I'm left with only one thought. If there is a next life, even if I end up a beggar on the streets, I will never again extend a helping hand to Jiang Zhuyan. Clang. The metallic sound of armor colliding, accompanied by the neighing of war horses, pierces my eardrums. A burst of cold autumn rain hits my face, carrying the distinctive earthy smell of the Jiangnan water towns. Blind man, I'm asking you, did you just hear which way a severely wounded man escaped? A rough, impatient male voice exploded in my ears. I suddenly clenched the blind cane in my hand, my nails nearly digging into the flesh of my palm. This voice, this rainy air, this is the autumn of the 3rd year of Shihi. This is the day when my ill-and fated relationship with Jiang Zhuyan began. At this moment in my previous life, though I was blind, I had excellent hearing and had already detected Jiang Zhuyan hiding in the woodpile behind me. To save him, I deliberately pointed toward the Earth God Temple in the opposite direction. Blind woman speak, or else blades have no eyes. The soldier's scabbard struck heavily against the stone pavement. I took a deep breath of the icy air, my whole body trembling slightly with excitement. Heaven has shown mercy and truly given me a chance to start over. I tapped my blind cane on the ground, putting on a frightened and cowering appearance, backing away repeatedly with a trembling voice. Your Honor, please see clearly. This commoner woman was born blind, and my hearing is also poor. Just now I only heard thunderclaps. As for any human figures or footsteps, I know nothing at all. The soldier approached suspiciously, lifted my veiled hat with the back of his blade to take a look. Seeing my eyes completely unfocused, gray and murky, he spat impatiently. Bad luck. Just a useless cripple, both blind and deaf. Let's go search to the west. The sound of horse hooves gradually faded away. The sound of rain continued pattering. I stood there motionless, and from the woodpile behind me came extremely faint, suppressed breathing sounds. That was Jang Ju-yeon. This time, I didn't turn around to show concern like I did in my previous life, nor did I secretly hide him in the Song family's cargo wagon. I simply coldly withdrew my blind cane and gave a light instruction to the maid Axie beside me. Axie, the rain's getting heavier. Let's go home. Ah, miss. Watch out for the puddles. Axie opened the oiled sandpaper umbrella and helped me walk into the curtain of rain without looking back. The moment I turned away, I felt as if I'd shed 1,000 Zan-pound burden. Jang Ju-yeon, in this life, your white moonlight didn't have me giving wrong directions. So you'll surely turn danger into safety. Your life Dan and Zan death grudges have nothing to do with me. Song Jiao, Animor. Sometimes things in this world are just that ridiculous. The more you try to avoid a quagmire, the more it sticks to the soles of your shoes. Late at night, the rain at the Song residence fell even harder, the autumn wind carrying its chill straight through the window lattice. I was sitting at my desk, feeling my way through the rosewood counting rods, calculating matters for father's trip tomorrow. Bang, bang, bang! Urgent pounding on the door shattered the night. Axie came running into the inner room in a panic, barely able to catch her breath. Miss, this is bad. There is a girl in a yellow shirt outside, supporting a severely injured man, kneeling at the main gate, begging us to take them in. My fingers paused while moving the wooden counting rods. A woman in a yellow shirt? A severely injured man. In my previous life, because I gave directions, Luo Yan died, and Jang Ju-yeon escaped to my place alone. In this life, I stood by and watched, and sure enough, Jang Ju-yeon found Luo Yan with his seemingly destined luck, and the two of them fled here together. Tell the gatekeeper that the Song residence is not a charity, and we don't take in people of unknown origins. Give them 10 taels of silver and send them to the abandoned temple 5 miles east of the city. My tone carried not a trace of emotion as I continued feeling for the next wooden counting rod. Axie responded and left. But before long, sounds of pushing and shouting came from the front courtyard. I put on my cloak and had Axie help me walk to the corridor of the front hall. As soon as I stood still, I heard a tearful, delicate yet stubborn female voice. Miss Song, please have mercy. He is badly injured. The wound on his back can't be delayed. If we go another 5 miles to the abandoned temple, he'll surely die. We're not bad people, we just encountered bandits. As long as you let us stay one night, Luo Yan will work like an ox or horse to repay you. Luo Yan, so it really is her, though I couldn't see her tear-stained pitiful appearance. Just from hearing this voice, I could imagine why Jang Ju-yeon remained obsessed with her in my previous life. The Song residence is a respectable merchant household. Harboring a severely injured man of unknown origin could bring legal trouble. Who will guarantee the safety of dozens of people in my Song family? I stood under the corridor, my voice cold as ice through the curtain of rain. Miss Luo, since you know he is seriously injured, you should go to a medical clinic, not force your way into a private residence. See them out. Don't drive us away. Luo Yan seemed desperate and suddenly dropped to her knees on the bluestone pavement with a thud. At that moment, Jang Ju-yeon, who had been unconscious all along, seemed to be roused by the rain. He let out a pained groan, his voice hoarse and weak, yet carrying an undisguisable arrogance. Yanner, get up. Even if I, Jiang, die, I won't beg for help from such a mercenary merchant who refuses to save a dying person. Hearing these words, I couldn't help but laugh coldly in my heart. In my previous life, when he collapsed alone at my door, I exhausted my best medicines to save him. After he woke up, he had the same attitude, thinking I was merely trying to curry favor with the powerful. Now with a beauty by his side, his backbone has grown even stiffer. Since this young master's backbone is so stiff. Why not grant them their wish? Close the door, see them out. I turned around without mercy. No, don't close the door. Luo Yan suddenly blocked the doorway, crying heartbreakingly. Miss Song. He is delirious from the fever. I beg you, as one woman to another, take pity on my devotion. Just a servant's room and some hot water. That is all. The night wind blew, carrying a heavy stench of blood. I knew Jiang Juyan wouldn't last much longer, if he really died at the Song family's doorstep. When the authorities investigated tomorrow morning, the Song family wouldn't be able to escape responsibility either. I stopped in my tracks and turned my head slightly. She clear out that most secluded reverse gan facing room in the West Wing. Go to the medicine room and get some wound medicine for them. Luo Yan felt like she'd been granted a great pardon and kowtowed repeatedly. Thank you, Miss Song. Thank you for your great kindness, Miss Song. Don't be so quick to thank me. I interrupted her, my voice calm. 7 days, I'll only let you stay for 7 days. After 7 days, regardless of how the injuries are, leave the Song family immediately. If you dare cause trouble, I'll report directly to the authorities. With that said, supported by a she, Yi went straight back to the inner courtyard without paying any more attention to the two people behind me. Wait a minute! Fam! Who understands the gold content of this part? Luo Yan's ultimate moral blackmail with. That is fellow women move. Plus Jiang Juyan being flat broke yet acting all high and mighty, cursing his lifesaver as mercenary. That eating soft rice with a hard attitude. Absolutely top tier. If it were an ordinary female lead, she'd probably be pooed by these two into falling into a self-justification trap by now. But our Zhao Zhao is all about busyness management. You are the white moonlight. You are so noble fine. Then let's put a clear price on it. Letting you stay is just to avoid the trouble of you collapsing at my doorstep. But free meals and lodging, not a chance. Using a merchant's abacus to slap the face of this kind of pretentious scumbag is so relieving, so satisfying. Can't wait to see how Zhao Zhao handles them. In this life, I owe you, Jiang Juyan, nothing at all. These 7 days, consider them a stick of incense I'm burning for my blind eyes in the previous life. The next morning, the rain stopped. The West Wing was very quiet. Luo Yan was probably carefully nursing her half-dead Jiang Lang. Axie told me that Luo Yan stayed up all night, and this morning even went to the kitchen to borrow brown sugar, saying she wanted to make sugar water for Jiang Juyan to nourish his body. I just nodded indifferently upon hearing this. Keep a separate account for the kitchen expenses under her name, and settle it all together after 7 days. The Song family doesn't support freeloaders. Axie was quite amused. Mrs. Wise, but this servant sees that young Master Jiang has such cold eyes, while Miss Luo is gentle and kind, smiling at everyone. Gentle and kind? I pulled at the corner of my mouth non-committally. In the previous life, though Luo Yan died early, from Jiang Juyan's descriptions, she was an otherworldly fairy. Now fallen to the mortal world, living under someone else's roof, that bit of gentleness of hers is nothing more than a protective color for survival. But I had no time to concern myself with them at this moment. Today, there was one matter of utmost importance that I had to prevent. I groped my way to the main hall, where Father Song Changshan was directing the servants to check the luggage. In my past life, it was after this autumn rain that Father insisted on making a trip to Jiangyan for a major medicinal herb deal. Who knew that halfway there, they would encounter a landslide? The convoy met with disaster. Father's legs were crushed, and from then on he was bedridden with illness. The Song family fell into decline because of this, and relatives from the clan swarmed to divide up the property. This was also the fundamental reason why Jiang Juyan was able to easily marry me into his household under the guise of being my benefactor in my past life. Dad. I quickly stepped forward and pressed my hand down on the wooden box containing the account books. Jower, why aren't you resting in your room? Be careful not to catch a chill. Father's rough, warm hand covered the back of mine, his tone full of affection. Dad, you cannot go on this trip to Jiangnan for the medicinal herb deal. My tone was firm, brooking no argument. Father was startled, then laughed heartily. Silly girl, this shipment was arranged with the Southern Merchant House long ago. Breaking the contract would mean paying triple the deposit. Orsong family values credibility above all. How could we treat it as child's play? I'll compensate for the deposit. As for the losses, I'll make it up with next year's profits from the fabric shop. I clutched the wooden box tightly, my eyes slightly stinging. Last night your daughter had a terrible nightmare. I dreamed that you encountered a mudslide at Panlong Ridge, and the scene was extremely dangerous. Dad, just trust your daughter this once, even if it is just postponing it by half a month. Song Changshan looked at my stubborn appearance, sighed, and waved his hand to dismiss the servants first. Zhao, you've grown up. You help Dad look over the account books and manage the business. Dad knows you're capable and thoughtful, but in business matters, we can't just rely on a dream to. Dad. I suddenly dropped to my knees, my voice choking up a bit. The loneliness and despair of 20 years in my past life transformed in this moment into dependence on my only family member. If you insist on going, your daughter will kneel here in this main hall. Father was startled and quickly pulled me up, sighing helplessly. All right, I'll do as you say. You really are a little ancestor I owed from my past life. I won't go. I'll have the steward take people to negotiate the compensation. My anxious heart finally settled back into my belly, and I let out a long breath of relief. Father stroked my hair bun, then suddenly changed the subject, his tone carrying a bit of probing and cheerfulness. Perfect timing. Since I'm staying, there is actually a proper matter to attend to. Zhaoer, you're not young anymore this year. It is time to meet some marriage prospects. I frowned slightly, Father. I'm someone with an eye condition. What respectable family would be willing to marry me? I'd rather stay by your side for the rest of my life. Nonsense. Father pretended to be angry. My Song Changshan's precious daughter, even if her eyes cannot see, is still the most intelligent girl in all of Linan. Before this trip to the south, I happened to meet a young Master Xia, who came from the capital to inspect trade routes here. Although this young Master Xia comes from a merchant background, he has extraordinary bearing and refined speech. What is most rare is that when he heard about your ability to audit accounts by listening despite your blindness, he greatly admired you and took the initiative to hint at forming a marriage alliance. Young Master Xi? I quickly searched through my memories from my previous life, but didn't seem to have heard of such a person. That is right. His name is Shi Yunshu. Father said with a beaming smile. He happens to be staying in Linan these few days. I've already taken the liberty of inviting him to our residence for tea in a couple of days. When the time comes, you can listen to his conversation from behind the screen. I wanted to refuse, but thinking of how Father had given up this business trip for my sake, I couldn't bear to dampen his spirits. So I nodded faintly. I'll leave it entirely to Father's decision. At the same time, behind the window of the West Wing, Zhang Juyun leaned against the window frame, and with his profound internal energy, heard the father-daughter conversation in the main hall crystal clear. He let out a cold laugh and mockingly said to Luo Yan, who was brewing medicine, "Merchant families are indeed full of money and grubbing social climbers. Yesterday they were putting on airs and wouldn't keep us. But today they can't wait to push off their daughter with eye problems to other wealthy merchants. That young Master Xia or whatever probably isn't anyone respectable either." Luo Yan gently advised. "Yun Lang, don't say that. Miss Song has taken us in, which is already a great kindness. Although she has eye problems, I heard she is quite capable." Capable? What can she possibly accomplish? A trace of arrogance flashed in Zhang Zhuan's eyes. Once my injuries heal and I reconnect with my former subordinates, I'll make sure this petty merchant household knows what a true difference between heaven and earth is. When the time comes, I'll casually reward her with some gold and silver, and we'll call it even. Sitting in the main hall, I was completely unaware of the schemes brewing in the West Wing. All I knew was that this time, I had personally steered the wheel of fate onto a different track. Linan City's largest tea house, Immortal Guest Inn, was built by the river, with tea fragrance wafting through the air all day long. Supported by Axie, I lightly tapped my white cane on the wooden stairs, climbing step by step to the private room on the second floor. The moment I pushed open the door, an extremely light, yet extremely elegant agarwood scent came toward me, mixed with a faint, barely perceptible cool bamboo aura, unique to those who had wielded swords for years. "Miss Song, please mind the threshold." A deep, mellow male voice rang out ahead, the tone like striking a jade chime, revealing undisguised composure and restraint. "This is the young master Xian Shu from the capital that father mentioned." I took my seat with father's introduction. I heard the rustling of robes across from me, followed by the flowing sound of tea being poured. The water struck the white porcelain teacup, the splash gentle, not a single drop spilled. "This is this year's new tribute Guju purple bamboo shoot tea." I warmed it with water from Hupao Spring. "Miss Song, please try it and see if it suits your taste." A cup of tea was gently pushed to my hand, at just the right distance. My fingertips touched the warm cup wall. I sniffed it lightly, the corners of my lips curving slightly. Young Master Xia has excellent tea skills. However, this tea also seems to carry a hint of the cliff cypress fragrance unique to Shu region. On your journey, you've not only traveled through Jiangyan, but surely visited the southwestern territories as well? There was an obvious moment of silence across from me, followed by a deep low chuckle, carrying undisguised admiration. "Uncle Song said that although Miss cannot see, your mind is like a clear mirror. Meeting you today, she finds this reputation well and deserved." Me merchant caravan did indeed just acquire a batch of spices from Shu. In my past life, Zhang Zhuyan always despised me for being blind, feeling I wasn't even worthy of grinding ink for him. But with Shi and Shu, me eye condition seemed to not exist at all. He showed no deliberate pity, no cautious testing, only the respect of treating me as an equal. We chatted in the private room for half a shichen, from the silk trade routes in Jiangnan to the Tizian horse trade in the southwest. His broad knowledge and sharp insight were far beyond what ordinary merchants could compare to. A suspicion gradually formed in my mind. This young Master Xia's background was likely unfathomably deep. However, no matter who he really was, such an open and upright person was worlds apart from that Zhang Zhuyin hiding in the west wing of my house, acting all high and mighty. At this moment, inside the west wing of the Song residence, it was quite a different scene. Zhang Zhuyin lay sprawled on the hard wooden plank bed. The pain from his wounds combined with days of plain food and simple tea had pushed his already volatile temper to its limit. Cough, cough. "Why is this medicine so bitter? Couldn't they even add a bit of licorice?" Zhang Zhuyin shoved away the medicine bowl Luoyan brought over, spilling the liquid all over the floor. Luoyan wearily crouched down to clean up. Her delicate hands that were meant for playing the chin and embroidery were now rubbed red and raw by the coarse rag. Tears welling in her eyes, she said grievously. "Yin Lon, the Song household steward, said we're already breaking the rules by staying here. The supplements from the kitchen all cost extra silver. And I pawned off all my jewelry during our escape. I really have no money left to buy licorice." Zhang Zhuyan looked at Luo Yan's haggard appearance, feeling even more irritated. He was originally Heaven's favored son. When had he ever suffered such grievances? He gritted his teeth and pounded the bed. "That rude girl from the Song family is simply going too far. Once I contact my former subordinates in the capital, I'll definitely get back all the humiliation I've suffered." Luo Yan wiped her tears without speaking. In their previous life, they hadn't suffered together like this, and she had always remained that pure and flawless white moonlight in his heart. But in this life, poor couples quarrel over everything. The torment of daily necessities and pain was gradually stripping away the romantic veneer between them. The matchmaking meeting went very smoothly. Father was extremely satisfied with Shi Yuanshu, and the two had even begun discussing details of the betrothal gifts. Although, I felt things were moving too fast, compared to the suffocating quagmire of my previous life. This was already a smooth path bestowed by heaven. At dusk, I returned home from the tea house. Just as I walked into the passageway of the inner courtyard, I sensed someone standing in the corridor. Although he deliberately lightened his breathing, that strong smell of wound medicine and the arrogance emanating from his very bones, I could recognize him with my eyes closed. Miss Song seems to be all smiles today. I suppose you've arranged a good marriage match? Zhang Juyun's voice drifted over eerily from behind the corridor pillar, carrying condescending mockery. I stopped in my tracks, my blind cane tapping crisply on the stone pavement as I said coldly, "Young Master Jiang, instead of recuperating in the West Wing, what are you doing running to the inner courtyard? Didn't Axie teach you the rules of the Song residence?" Zhang Juyun snorted coldly and slowly paced closer. "Miss Song, let's not beat around the bush. I know you merchant families value profit. That blind date of yours is nothing but a merchant reeking of copper. If you're smart, you should serve me well. When I recover and return to the capital, forget about ensuring your Song family's lifelong wealth and prosperity. Even getting you an imperial title would be just a matter of one word from me." The condescension and certainty in his tone made me want to laugh. He was still the same Zhang Juyun, forever thinking the whole world should unconditionally revolve around him. An imperial title? I turned my head slightly, the corner of my mouth curving into a mocking arc. "Young Master Zhang merchants do indeed value profit, but we value real gold and silver even more. You've been eating and staying at my Song residence for free for 4 days now, adding up the premium wound medicine, the rent for the West Wing room, and the firewood fees from the kitchen. That is a total of 30 zan 5 taels and 6 chien of silver. You can't even afford to pay for licorice root. What are you going to use to get me an imperial title? With just your mouth?" Zhang Juyun's breath caught at my merciless words, and he flew into an embarrassed rage. You're simply being unreasonable. Yun Zan Lang. Please don't get angry. Be careful not to tear your wound. Luo Yan came running out from somewhere, supported Zhang Juyun, and turned to plead with me gently. "Miss Song, Yun Lang was just being anxious. He meant no harm. He is truly a person of great ability. Won't you just trust him this once?" Listening to Luo Yan's tone of forced compromise, I only felt utterly bored. "Miss Luo," I interrupted her. "A person of true great ability wouldn't hide behind others, relying on someone else's jewelry to exchange for medicine. Also, today is already the 4th day. Once the 7 Zan day deadline arrives, the Song family will not keep guests. If you two truly have any backbone, you might as well move out right now." After speaking, I paid no more attention to their embarrassed expressions and directly had Axie help me back to my room. Behind me, Zhang Juyun's fists clenched with crackling sounds, yet he didn't dare say another word, because he knew very well that now, once he left the protection of the Song residence, those pursuers outside could take his life immediately. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye it was the 6th day. Father had gone to the cloth shop in the south of the city early in the morning to check the accounts. In the afternoon, as I was sitting in the main hall reviewing last month's ledgers, an extremely harsh string of curses suddenly came from the front courtyard. Bang! The Song family's main gate was kicked open by someone. "Where is Song Changshan? Tell him to get the hell out here! He owes our Black Tiger gang protection money. If he doesn't pay up today, believe it or not, I'll smash this broken mansion of yours to pieces." Axie's face turned pale with fright, and she rushed in hurriedly. "Miss, it is those thugs and hooligans from the east side of town. Master isn't home, and the guards went with him to deliver goods. What should we do? In my previous life, these thugs came too. Back then, Father was severely injured and bedridden. This group took advantage of the situation to loot, and Jiang Zhuyun happened to pass by and sent them packing with a few punches and kicks. It was that time when Jiang Zhuyun established his authority in the Song family, and naturally became the Song family's benefactor. I calmly put away the account tokens into the wooden box and stood up. What is there to panic about? In broad daylight, can they really rob us by force? help me out." I had just reached the front courtyard when I heard the door of the West Wing room creak open. Jiang Zhuyun strode out quickly. "A bunch of low-life thugs dare to run wild here." Zhang Zhuwen's voice carried an excitement of finally finding a place to prove himself. He had waited too long for this moment. He urgently needed to prove to me that his martial prowess and power were things money absolutely couldn't buy. Today, he wanted to completely intimidate me and make me actively seek his protection. The thug leader saw a pale, tan-faced young man come out playing hero and immediately burst into laughter. "Where did this sickly weakling come from? You dare to meddle in your grandpa's business, brothers. Get him. Show him what we're made of." Zhang Zhuwen sneered, drew the sword from his waist, and was about to charge forward. Even injured, dealing with a few street thugs was more than easy for him. However, the very moment he took his first step, according to the laws of Great Song, those who forcibly enter a private residence and extort property in broad daylight shall receive 100 strokes of the cane and 3 years of exile labor. A cool, authoritative, and incredibly familiar voice drifted in from outside the main gate. My heart skipped a beat. It was Shi Yunshu. 2 attendants dressed in tights and fitting clothes with steady gaits walked in from outside the door. They didn't even draw their blades, but simply flashed into the crowd like lightning. After just a few muffled sounds, in the blink of an eye, without any blood spattering or swords being drawn, those thugs were instantly subdued by the 2 attendants' sharp techniques, tumbling to the ground one after another, unable to move and howling in pain. Then, Ji Yunshu walked in with unhurried steps. He approached me, his voice much gentler. "Miss Song, you've been frightened. I came today to deliver the deed for the tea shop, but didn't expect to run into such lowlifes." I curtsied slightly and said sincerely, "Thank you, young master, for coming to our aid." At this moment, Zhang Zhuyin stood frozen in place in his swords and drawing stance, his face alternating between pale and flushed. His hero saving the beauty act hadn't even begun before being cut short. He stared intently at the 2 attendants behind Shi Yunshu, his pupils shrinking sharply. As a court official, he immediately recognized that what those 2 had used was definitely not Jangu martial arts, but rather the unique military grappling techniques of the Imperial City Bureau. Who exactly are you?" Zhang Zhuwen's hand holding the sword trembled slightly, no longer able to maintain that lofty arrogance. "A merchant. Who could have an expert from the Imperial City Bureau as an attendant?" His true identity was definitely someone that a fugitive like him couldn't afford to provoke. He turned his head, his profound gaze coldly falling upon Zhang Zhuyun. That look contained no anger, only the indifference of someone looking at an ant. "Who I am, you are not qualified to ask. But I advise you, since you're someone who cannot see the light of day, you should hide yourself well and not come out to disturb Miss Song's place." Lucy's voice was not loud, but it was resounding and carried the natural authority of someone in a superior position. "What does a real dimensional reduction strike look like?" 1 second, Zhang Zhuyun was still trying to look cool and play the hero saving the beauty, brushing up his presence to Pua the female lead, and the next second he was directly turned into trash by Lord Lu's presence. This scene of failed posturing backfiring is simply a massive embarrassment. Once Lord Lu appeared, that sense of security simply broke through the sky, and the scumbag instantly turned into a clown fey. This is what they call evildoers getting their comeuppance. Let him keep posturing. Now he has kicked an iron plate, hasn't he? Zhang Zhuyin was struck as if by lightning, his face instantly turning deathly pale as paper. He hastily put away his sword, without even the courage to refute, not even daring to let Lucy see his face clearly. Like a deflated ball, he retreated in a sorry state back to the West Wing and shut the door firmly. Standing under the corridor, although I couldn't see anything, listening to the sounds of Zhang Zhuan's panicked retreat, I felt nothing but immense satisfaction in my heart. The shackles of 20 years from my previous life were completely shattered at this moment. "Zhang Zhuyun, The capital you take such pride in is utterly vulnerable before true power and glory, as brilliant as the scorching sun. And I, Song Zhao, will never again be your stepping stone in this lifetime. The autumn wind sweeps away fallen leaves, and in the blink of an eye, the 7-day period had arrived. Early that morning, I had a she go to the accounting office in the front courtyard to fetch an abacus, and sat upright in the armchair in the main hall. Holding a cup of hot tea in my hands, I quietly listened to the commotion coming from the west wing. Miss Luo, young Master Jiang, my young lady, has given instructions. Today is the 7th day. Since you two have mostly recovered from your injuries, please pack your belongings and seek your fortunes elsewhere. The steward's voice carried a cold, business-like tone. Before long, Luo Yan's footsteps, soft yet tinged with urgency, entered the main hall. Miss Song, please be more flexible for a few more days. Luo Yan's eyes were red rimmed, her voice miserably pleading. Yun Lang's wound just scabbed over yesterday. The doctor said he still needs to rest quietly. Besides, we're penniless now. If we're driven out of the manor, we'll surely end up on the streets. I gently took a sip of tea and set the teacup down on the table, producing a crisp clinking sound. Miss Luo, my Song family runs a fabric shop and medicine business, not a charity hall that saves all living beings. My tone was flat, without a ripple of emotion. 7 days ago, I already made everything crystal clear to you both. If you truly cared for him, you should have spent these 7 days pawning some belongings at a pawn shop or finding some work in the city, instead of hoping to freeload at my Song household and live a lifetime with your hands out for clothes and mouth open for food. A heavy breath suppressing anger came from the doorway. It was Zhang Zhuyun. He had clearly forced himself to follow along despite his condition. Song Zhao, must you truly be this heartless? Zhang Zhuyun gritted his teeth, his voice full of humiliated fury. His ridiculous pride had been stabbed full of holes upon hearing the words freeload at the Song household. Heartless? I sounded as if I'd heard the world's biggest joke, Master Jiangyaxi. Report the accounts. She immediately came forward holding the account book and read out crisply and efficiently. Young Master Jiang and Miss Luo have been staying in the West Wing for 7 days since entering the residence. Daily superior wound medicine, 2 taels, ginseng and deer antler soup, wone bowl plus the charcoal fee and brown sugar fee for Miss Luo's exclusive use of the kitchen. All in all, a total of 50 Jian 8 taels and 3 qian of silver. I tilted my head slightly, my blind cane tapping on the ground. Young Master Jiang, you don't expect you to repay this 50 Jian 8 taels and 3 qian right now. Consider it my great benevolence. Song Zhao, giving charity. Now, leave immediately. Zhang Zhuyun's breathing instantly became rapid, his chest heaving violently. In his previous life, he was accustomed to my fawning and humility. Now being driven away by me in such a businesslike manner, it was even more unbearable than giving him a beating. Good! What a fine Song family! Zhang Zhuyun suddenly laughed coldly, his voice carrying a bone-and chilling coldness. Song Zhao, do you think by driving me away, you can stay out of this? I'm afraid you still don't know my true identity. I am a court official, currently being secretly pursued for involvement in a major case. By harboring me in your residence these 7 days, you've already committed the grave crime of sheltering a major criminal wanted by the court. He stepped forward, his tone carrying a hint of smug satisfaction at having me cornered. If you obediently prepare 1,000 taels of silver for me right now, and arrange a fine carriage to send us out of the city, I'll be merciful and won't implicate your Song family. Otherwise, the moment I step out this door and get caught by the officers, I'll immediately confess that your Song family conspired with me. When that happens, your elderly father and this vast family fortune of yours will all be implicated. Luo Yan's face turned deathly pale listening from the side. Clearly she hadn't expected Zhang Zhuyun to use such a method of turning the tables. So frightened she even forgot to cry. In my past life, He bound me for a lifetime with obligation. In this life, unable to obtain my gratitude, he has begun using power and threats to my life to coerce me. My hand tightened slightly around my blind cane. Just as I was about to speak, a voice as cold and clear as shattered jade, carrying the force of thunder, suddenly came from outside the courtyard. Oh, harboring a major criminal of the court, Jiang Juyan, what impressive official authority you have. Outside the main gate, Ji Yunshu, no, it should be Lucy, entered the main hall with steady steps. Today he wasn't wearing that merchant's brocade robe, but instead, a crimson official robe with cloud patterns, with a jades and colored sideris belt at his waist, symbolizing the emperor's inspector. That aura of one who has long been immersed at the pinnacle of power instantly made the air in the entire hall freeze. Behind him, 2 rows of armored guards with hands on their embroidered spring sabers stood in neat formation, an aura of deadly intent washing over us. The moment Jiang Juyan saw clearly the crimson official robes on Lucy, his legs suddenly went weak, and he involuntarily staggered back 2 steps, nearly falling to the ground. Jiang Juan's voice sounded like a broken bellows, trembling so much he couldn't even get out a complete sentence. Lucy walked to my side, naturally reaching out to steady me, then coldly tossed a black iron token at Jiang Juan's feet. Provincial Judge, Lucy. These 7 words exploded like thunder beside Jiang Juan's ears. The Jiangnan military market smuggling case was being investigated entirely by Lucy, the youngest and most iron-fisted provincial judge of the current dynasty. In his wildest dreams, Jiang Zhuyun never imagined that the king of hell he'd been desperately avoiding was actually the young master Shier, who had been chatting and laughing with me just days ago, even chasing away thugs for me. Jiang Zhuyun. Lucy looked down at him from above, his gaze cold and indifferent. As an imperial saber-bearing guard, you neglected your duty and became involved in a major smuggling case. This official has been conducting a private investigation all the way here, and you still have the audacity to intimidate innocent people? No, that is not it, my lord. Please let me explain. Jiang Zhuyun completely broke down, all his pride schemes and arrogance shattered into dust before absolute imperial power and the law. He suddenly turned to look at me, shrieking like someone grasping at their last straw. Song Zhao, you have to plead for me, at the very least. At the very least. Even if I haven't contributed to your family, I've worked hard for you. Yaner, quickly beg Miss Song. Luo Yan had already collapsed on the ground in terror, trembling, not even daring to lift her head. I stood quietly beside Lucy, too stingy to even spare him a glance. Young Master Jiang, didn't you just say you were going to confess that my Song family conspired with you? If that is the case, this Song cannot presume upon such a connection. Lucy let out a light laugh, but his tone carried an irrefutable chill. Jiang Zhuyun, you should be grateful that Miss Song is merciful, and only had you stay in the servants' quarters for a few days. This official is here today, and the Song family is completely innocent. As for you, Lucy paused, raising his hand to stop the guards behind him who were about to draw their swords, and said coolly, this official came today to propose marriage to the Song family, so it is inappropriate to use force. I'll give you half a shikan to leave Linan City. If you can escape from the inescapable net this official has laid, then that will be your good fortune. Jiang Juyan was suddenly stunned. Though he was stupid, even he understood at this moment that Lucy was playing the long game to catch the big fish, deliberately leaving him a thread of life to follow the vine and root out his smuggling accomplices behind him. But for Jiang Zuyun at this moment, this half hour was his only hope to cling to life. Go, Yaner! Let's go quickly! Jiang Zuyun, like a madman, grabbed Luo Yan from the ground and scrambled out of the Song family's main gate, rolling and crawling, not even bothering to pick up the bundle that had fallen on the ground. That panicked fleeing figure was like a startled bird. The main hall returned to silence once more. Only the late autumn wind made the fallen leaves in the courtyard rustle. My apologies, Miss Song, for borrowing your place to handle official business and disturbing you. Lucy dismissed the guards, and his voice returned to the gentle and modest tone from when he was tasting tea in the private room earlier. I shook my head, and a genuine smile couldn't help but appear at the corner of my mouth. Lord Lu's thunderous methods. This commoner woman admires them, and it is not even enough. How could there be any disturbance? If you hadn't revealed your identity, my lord, that scoundrel would probably have continued to slander my Song family today. Lucy quietly looked at me. Though I was blind, I could feel his gaze falling on my face, focused, profound, and carrying a trace of solemnity. Miss Song, what I said to Jang Juyan just now wasn't entirely to deceive him. Lucy's voice dropped slightly lower. Lu's visit today is indeed to propose marriage. I was slightly stunned, my hand unconsciously tightening around my cane. Lord Louis, you are a court official, while Song Zhao is merely a merchant's daughter afflicted with eye disease. When you previously used the alias Shi Yunshu to befriend me, wasn't it to borrow the Song family's trade routes and secretly investigate leads on the smuggling case? That was indeed the case initially, Lucy admitted frankly, without the slightest concealment. This official traveled incognito to Jiangnan and needed a merchant's identity as cover. Uncle Song is generous and forthright, and the Song family's trade routes extend in all directions. It was indeed the best cover, but my desire to marry you has nothing to do with the case. He stepped forward, stopping at a distance that was not at all intrusive, yet close enough for me to hear his every breath clearly. Song Zhao, you don't pity your eye condition, because you see more clearly and live more thoroughly than most people in this world with healthy eyes. I admire how confident you look when working the abacus, and I appreciate your proud backbone that yields not an inch when facing thugs and scoundrels. The inner quarters of the Marquis Manor in the capital are unfathomably deep. Those schemes and intrigues trapped within those four walls, I know you dislike them. If you marry me, in Lucy's household, you will be the only one. Your merchant caravans can still travel north and south. Your accounting expertise can still control Lanan's commercial pulse. I swear in the name of the Judicial Commissioner, I will protect you for life and let you spread your wings and fly high. Will you trust me? Those words, resonant and forceful, struck right at my heart. In my previous life, Zhang Juyun married me to devour my family's assets, trapping me in the sunless inner quarters to grind away my spirit. In this life, Lucy seeks to marry me to give me a broader sky, letting me live openly and brightly under the name Song Zhao. My hand gripping the blind cane slowly loosened, and I took a deep breath of the crisp autumn air. My nose no longer detected that nauseating scent, only the clean, cold bamboo fragrance from his body. All right, I heard my own clear and resolute voice. I trust you. 3 months later, in the depths of winter, Linan City welcomed the most grand wedding in nearly 10 years. The current judicial commissioner, Lord Lu, with a 10 Zanli bridal procession in red, married the daughter of the imperial merchant Song family of Linan. In the heavy snowfall, I wore that wedding gown embroidered with phoenixes in gold thread. Supported by Axie, I stepped over the brazier and walked steadily toward the man who reached out his hand to me. His palm was broad and warm, with calluses from years of gripping a sword, and he held my hand firmly. After the wedding ceremony was complete, beneath the red veil, I heard the faint murmurs of discussion coming from the streets and alleys outside. I heard that Jiang Zuyun, the court criminal on the run, ultimately could not escape the inescapable net laid down by Lucy. He had been hiding here and there with Luo Yan in the freezing cold, and had long ago exhausted whatever affection remained between them. Luo Yan couldn't bear the days of eating coarse food and living in constant fear with him, so she secretly took his remaining travel money and ran off, eventually ending up on the streets, doing the most bitter and exhausting menial work. As for Jiang Zhuyun, he was captured alive by secret agents of the Imperial City Department in a dilapidated Earth God temple. When arrested, he was in tattered clothes, haggard and emaciated, with his legs left with serious lingering ailments, never again able to walk like a normal person. Axie quietly leaned close to my ear and whispered, Miss, I heard that the prison cart escorting Jang Juyin back to the capital happened to pass by the street in front of our Song family gate today. Through the wooden bars of the prison cart, he saw from afar all the red silk hanging at our residence, and I heard he fainted on the spot from rage and anguish attacking his heart. I listened quietly, yet not a single ripple stirred in my heart. Past events, grudges, and affections, all like this sky full of flying snow, falling into the earth, leaving no trace behind. What are you thinking about? Lucy's gentle voice sounded beside me. He adjusted the fox fur cloak on my shoulders. I grasped his hand in return, feeling the warmth of his palm, as a faint smile bloomed at the corners of my lips. I'm thinking, though this winter's snow is cold, I've waited for a wonderful spring day. After finishing our Zhaocha's badass grand finale, my mood is like riding a roller coaster. So thrilling that even 3 large cups of iced Americano can't suppress the excitement in my heart. This story is really so satisfying, especially the psychological games in the character relationships. During this time, I've been taking a psychology elective in the US, and the professor just happened to cover a very classic theory called the Cartman drama triangle. This theory says that in a toxic relationship, people often play 3 roles: victim, persecutor, and rescuer. Looking back, in the previous life, Jang Juyun and Luo Yan were dancing examples of people who like to play this kind of psychological game. Luo Yan was always playing the victim. Jang Juyun made the pursuing soldiers into the persecutor, and Song Zhao, at that time, was morally blackmailed and forced to become that. Do you know who is the most miserable one in this drama triangle? It is the rescuer, because for a pure narcissist like Jang Juyun, he doesn't actually want any rescuer at all. He just wants a sucker who can infinitely tolerate his selfishness and let him take whatever he wants. Once you rescue him and see his most pathetic, most wretched side, his inferiority will immediately transform into hatred toward you. This is exactly why I particularly love Song Zhao's way of fighting back in this life. She didn't fall into the trap of self-dan justification, didn't get into a shouting match with the scumbag, but directly pulled out her abacus. When dealing with people who only know moral blackmail, the most ruthless move is to talk money with them. Time is money, my friend. Since you want to stay, then let's calculate the rent, firewood, and medical expenses crystal clear. This wave of monies and making girl boss operation is simply the ultimate empowerment. And let's look at Lord Lu again. Why can he become the top tier green flag in this story? Because in the love he gives Song Zhao, there is no pity, only equality and respect. He never said to Song Zhao, "You have eye problems. How pitiful, let me support you." But instead said, "I admire your backbone. You can continue being your imperial merchant." True love isn't about treating you like a bird with broken wings and locking you in a cage, but giving you a sky so you can keep flying. So sisters, engrave this sentence in your brain. Stop being the Bob the Builder for broken men. When you meet a red flag like Jang Juyin, who spreads negative energy anytime, anywhere, plays the victim all day, and always wants to exploit you, don't feel sorry for him. Run immediately. When you completely cut off those messy people, a partner like Lord Lu, who is emotionally stable with super upright values, as well as a more sparkling you yourself, will be waiting for you in the future. Love yourself first. That is always the most important required course of our lifetime. Alright, today's extra Zan-long spiritual massage ends here. Although the main story is finished, my imagination is still burning fiercely. If we're going to release followed Zan-up extras, what plot do you most want to see? Come and pick your favorite Vera's exclusive extra request station. A. Lord Lu's long, premeditated secret crush perspective, super high sweetness level. Want to see that Lu Ci actually fell in love with Zhao Zhao at first sight even earlier? See how the cold Zen-faced king of hell disguised himself as a merchant for his wife, secretly protected his wife from behind, got jealous, and step by step locked down his wife. The hilarious inside story. B. Desperate Straight Spectacular Ultimate Karma Edition. Detailed description of how Jung Jun Yoon and Luo Yan tore each other apart and blamed each other over a few coins while on the run. Want to see the annual Shura field where the white moonlight filter shatters into pieces? See Zhao Zhao's road to becoming the great song's #1 richest woman female lead money. And making route. After marrying the judicial officer, how does Zhao Zhao use Lord Lu's official protection umbrella to expand the Song family's merchant fleet throughout the land, becoming the influencer queen of the capital's socialite circle? Which storyline hits you the most? Drop your choice in the comments. If you have even more amazing ideas, don't hold back. Tell me loudly in the comment section. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to give Vera the triple combo. Love y'all. See you in the next exciting story.